Hello and welcome to the No Balls podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McDonald, with me co-host Sheldon Kaufman. Today we are doing our own mock draft. We'll give some big board insight today, but as we always do, we're going to start with NBA trivia. Sheldon has a question for me. What is it for today?
All right, Pat. In light of the NBA draft, we got some NBA draft themed trivia here. So we're gonna take it to the 2001 draft where Kwame Brown was infamously selected number one overall. Can you name the two players that were named after him? And if you want team names, I'll give them to you. But
Wait, in what year? 2000?
2001, who went second overall and third overall?
Yeah, I'm gonna need teams.
Okay, the Clippers, but it was a trade, so the guy that got selected ended up on the Bulls. And then hold on.
I think that has been
Want to say
Gordon, right?
I want to say okay, and then the Hawks. But his draft rights were later traded to the Grizzlies as well. So two trades that happened, but two
So the first,
these are two like names that you would know.
oh, I thought the first one would be Ben Gordon.
No.
It's not Ben Gordon?
No,
Okay, and then is the other one Gasol? Pau Gasol?
Al Gasol
Going
is
to Memphis?
Al Gasol is
Okay.
correct going to Memphis.
Uh, then Chicago. Yeah, I don't know. 2001's a little before. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Like, whenever I think of pre-Derrick Rose, I think it's just Ben Gordon. So, if it wasn't him, I don't really have a name.
Big man Tyson Chandler was selected
Oh,
second overall. I
yeah,
think
that's a man.
he played for the Knicks, right, for like a couple of seasons.
Knicks, Mavs, the Lakers and Suns. Yeah.
Yeah, so long career. He retired like not crazy long, but like maybe 10 years ago.
2018?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
not even that far, but yeah,
probably
a
like
little
six
shake
years
up.
ago.
But Paul Gasol, that was good. That was a good hit.
Yeah. Well, how we're gonna do this today is we're gonna pull out the classic. We'll pull up um on the screen share. We're using our utilities, and we will
Top
do a
notch.
full fanspo mock draft.
What?
Um, yeah, this is crazy. We got we, we
This
got
is
we we got it pulled up. We'll probably only do a first round. I don't know
I'm
if we
cool.
really feel if we really feel inclined to go into some deep cuts in the second round, we might do that. Um, Number one overall here. I feel like the least talked about player in this draft class is Cooper Flag, just because everybody says Cooper Flag and moves on with it. Do you have anybody besides Cooper Flag, really in consideration here?
Um, Not really for the Mavs. I mean, you have Kyrie, you have Anthony Davis, you have a good squad in the middle, and Cooper Flag's a generational talent. If you pass up on that, Nico Harrison might actually might some bad things might happen to him. But I don't really have any other consideration than Cooper Flag here. Like his talent and his ceiling is insane. Like his floor is an all star starter. Like let's be real, his defense is insane. And then when he cleans up some of the shooting things, I think he's gonna be a great two way threat. Um, yeah,
I think the crazy thing about Cooper is the shooting's the weak thing, and he shot like 37% this year
yeah,
as a he's a big. I would say he's not so much of a wing, but he's gonna play more of a 3-4 role in Dallas, and I think Cooper Flag is obviously the right pick here. And we're gonna go ahead and make that one. We're doing this, together. If we have differing opinions, we'll just try to talk each other into the altering one. Here at number two for San Antonio, uh, this one for me is very easy. I'm interested in what you have to say. I still think the pick is Dylan Harper. Pretty considerably like obvious for me. What do you have to say here at number two for Dylan Harper?
yeah. I agree 100%. He's really good. I think what stands out to me the most is his ability to get to the rim. Like he has a plethora of moves in his bag. whether it be a Euro step or just any other moves like that, hop steps, etc. Uh, really good in the pick and roll. He has great size too, 6'5", 213. Um, I thought he did pretty good at scoring at the rim too, getting getting contact with the rim, being able to get to the line. Uh, his pull up scoring could use some work. He rushed at times, which I think his mechanics would come off. Um, and then just shooting consistency. But I think overall, yeah, Dylan Harper's the move here. He's going to fit great with the offense that they're going to have with Darren Fox and Wemby. And he's shown at Rutgers that he can play off the ball as well. He's a great off the ball scorer, and I think he'll thrive well there. And he won't have to have the ball in his hands, and he can really play um, like more of the two role. Whereas at Rutgers, he had the ball in his hands a lot. So
Like basically the whole time it felt like I would say for me, like I understand the slight fit concerns because they have two guards there that they're going to have to play a lot, but it I think Dylan Harper is just that much better of a prospect compared to the other guys available here. So I will be selecting Dylan Harper as well. I think the common consensus here is that the draft really starts at number 3 for the Philadelphia 76ers. I think there's a bunch of names that you could consider. Um, I really have two or three that I like, and I'm interested. You probably have two or three, and there's a good chance that we have a couple of different. Maybe it's a two or three with five different names between the two of us. So, what do you have in consideration for Philadelphia?
I really have three picks here. I think the one that I think I like the most is VJ Edgecombe, just because of the raw ability and talent. Super athletic. I mean, this guy's insane. Fun dunker to watch. Good transition or really good transition player. Uh, Also a really good defender because of that size and length. Really good cutter and off ball scorer. I think he could fit there, play like the Kelly Oubre role or something like that. I like Trey Johnson as well. Um, it's another name I like to throw in there. His 3 point shot is like top three in this class. I think really good 3 point shooter, especially the difficulty of shots he's making, um, off the ball, self or not off the ball, moving, pull up, uh, off step backs, really good stuff. Really good handle, ability to self create. I like all of that, and he's just a really good scorer. So I think that'd be nice to watch with when him and Mac when you already have Maxine and Beat going out there and scoring every night to have that option like Trey Johnson is really good. And then of course Ace Bailey. I really like for Philadelphia. I think he'd be a better fit than BJ Edgecombe, but with a lot of the things that have been going on with like him tanking his draft stock, I don't think Philadelphia's going to end up signing or drafting him. But I like VJ Edgecombe here at the 3 spot. But I think Trey Johnson could be worth a look as well.
Yeah, I really like uh I like the names that you brought up there. For me, the three guys I would consider are Trey, VJ, and Khan. I think just like you, I think I settle on VJ being the top guy here. The only reason I don't like Ace kind of for Philly is I feel like they kind of want to win now, and I'm not so sure that Ace is ready to be an NBA role player at this point in time. I think he is a guy who wants to be a star. I think in his good right to be. I think there's been a lot of negative press about Ace Bailey that I think is a little bit unfair. That being said, I do have him a little bit lower on my board than the Fanspo board here would be, but I still think there's a lot of unfair things being said about Ace Bailey. I think VJ's the right pick. I think his athleticism allows him to be, I think, an NBA starter. I don't like to throw out too much like comparison or analysis on these guys till we talk about them on their team, but like I feel like a terrible outcome for VJ Edgecombe is like he's like Clippers Chris Dunn,
Yeah,
where he's gonna just shoot a bunch of open threes, and I think he has enough to play defense at the NBA level, even if it was a little more showy, but not consistent at Baylor. I really like VJ for Philly. He can slot in, be a fifth starter, do a little bit offensively with his athleticism and hitting open shots if he is left open. So that's the pick for me. I think the other thing to consider too, we're not going to do too many trades, but Philly could trade down. I kind of think VJ's their guy though.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and take him. If we're really compelled to make a trade, we can also make a trade. I should have brought that up a little bit earlier, but
Um,
I think. Do you think that they would trade it, or do you think they would stick and pick VJ
if
more
they do
likely?
trade it, maybe we could see them trade it to the Wizards, and then they go the Con Kneppel route because I think Con could easily fall to 6 in this draft. But yeah, maybe the Pelicans. They could also do it with the Pelicans. And I think if they do that with the Pelicans, then they have a lock to get Con Kneppel. And I think that that's great for them because I think he's, as far as shooting wise, VJ does lack a little. Just watching him at Baylor, I feel like he wasn't very consistent from that. But and whereas Con Kneppel is regarded as one of the better shooters in this draft. But if VJ Edgecombe can even, I mean, he shot 34% in college last year, and that was after coming off a really rough start to start the season. So he definitely improved. I like again. I do like VJ Edgecombe. I think he's a great fit, but yeah, if they're gonna trade, I think you try to get trade with the Pelicans or the Wizards, and you go with Con Kneppel, and I think that's also a great fit for you. So if you're
Yeah.
Philly, you have a lot of options here, and like you said, I do think the draft starts here, and there's a lot of question what they're gonna do.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll just go push forward with VJ. If you ever have trade ideas, you can obviously audible in. Here at 3 for Charlotte, or 4 for Charlotte. I think there's a lot of different ways this one can go, and Intel wise, I've heard from not from Intel that I have, but from what sources that I trust, who do this for a lot more money than I do, say that Charlotte really likes Concanipple. And I can obviously see that. I think he fits a need that they haven't really drafted before. Um, this is a newer regime, I believe, recently turned over. When they hired Charles Lee, I believe they also redid a lot of the decision makers. So some of their past draft mistakes, I don't know how much I can weigh them in here. And for me too, I think there's another 3 guys I would consider. Khan, since it appears that they really like him, Trey Johnson, and then Kaman, because I kind of have an inkling that Mark Williams won't be on the team next season, and that's why I kind of like Kaman going in this spot for them. But that could also be another trade down situation if that's something that you kind of agree with. Maybe it's them trading with New Orleans, who just got another pick in this draft. I want to hear what you think here with
Yeah,
Charlotte.
I'm kind of on the same page with you as far as like the Con Kneppel stuff goes. Um, I mean, I already talked about it a little bit before, but just a really good 3 point shooter, and he's actually a pretty good finisher. Once he gets down there, he has really nice footwork to get layups off against bigger bigs and some bigs that we see in this draft, and we're talking about decent playmaker. Not really as like the one guy, but as more of like making the secondary passes, uh, finding cutters, stuff like that. So and when you on this team, you already have Lamelo Ball, Miles Bridges, and you're going to get Brandon Miller back. All guys who are very capable of scoring and getting their own shot. Um, do you want to muddy that up and go get another guy like Trey Johnson? I don't really know. I do really like Mile Watch for them as well, just because Mark Williams has been so unreliable, like staying healthy over the past multiple seasons. Um, and I would agree that you would trade with New Orleans. I do like trading with New Orleans.
Yeah, and for me with Charlotte, I think their guy is VJ as well as Philly,
Okay,
and I
yeah,
think it's like a staring match. Like they want VJ to fall because I don't, even though I don't think Khan's defensive stuff is as concerning as sometimes it could be made out to be. I do think they need a better defender than Concanipple next to Brandon Miller or LaMelo Ball, and then unsure of what's going on at the center position. So that's why I'm not super high on Con slotting in being their 2 guard. And if I was Charlotte, I would want to trade down and try to get either like Kaman or one of the defensive guys that fall if Kaman gets taken off the board. And I think New Orleans is a team that based off of how they drafted in the past, even though it is a completely new decision room in New Orleans, I think they would really like Ace Bailey. Um, and they have an extra pick in this draft. You know, Charlotte has those second rounders, as you can see, they have 33 and 34. If I'm Charlotte, I would want to trade down. So if that's what you agree with, we can make that decision.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, there should be a button here. I think
Trade
I think
pick. It
you're
says trade pick.
yeah. I think you're covering it. I think New Orleans is the pick to trade up. I think simplicity reasons they just swap 4 and 23 and 7 like that, and then we call it a day. And I move you up here. All right, and then New Orleans on the clock at 4. I think they like Ace Bailey.
Yeah,
Um, because if I'm trading up for a player, it's somebody that I don't think is gonna fall. I think there's a possibility that one of Con or Trey falls, and I don't think that they see too much. New Orleans would see too much of a difference between those two guys. What do you have to say here for New Orleans?
yeah. Ace Bailey comes in and he's going to be a really nice fit for them. And especially with the stuff with Zion been going on, like to have that safety net to fall back in an Ace Bailey, I think is really important. Um, he's a really good 3 point shooter, really good scorer, especially off cutting, which will be very nice for DeJounte Murray, who we saw what we could do in Atlanta with Clint Capella as a lob threat. Ace Bailey is also a lob threat. Um, really great measurements, good rebounding ability. That adds to really good defense. I mean, this team is already pretty lengthy when you already have Herbert Jones, or really good defensively and lengthy when you have Herbert Jones, Zion, and DeJounte Murray out there. Adding Ace Bailey, I think, just even helps even more. I mean, that lineup is going to cause nightmares for offenses. Just the switchability throughout it is really nice. Um, and once Ace Bailey works on his ball handling and stuff, I think he's going to be just really good and develop into a star in this league. Put on a little weight, get a little bit consistent on the defense and shooting, and maybe this Pelicans team will finally break through.
Hopefully, I mean, it's been like what 6 years now with Zion. I would hope this would happen. This could unlock some Zion, Herb Jones, Ace Bailey, Trey Murphy, small ball lineups where it could just be really fun. This is a
Could keep
team that,
it could keep Trey Murphy on the team too.
yeah, like in what we just had, they traded 23. They probably end up moving like some like pick swap later as well. But yeah, but I would I necessarily love Trey or Ace Bailey ahead of Con Trey, even come on, probably not. But hey, in the position of New Orleans, I think I am perfectly fine. If you're trading up, take the guy who you think has the highest ceiling. I kind of do think that is Ace Bailey. So I'll do that. Obviously, if you're trading in our picks, future picks, you're going to want to invest in his development. So I think that's
Yeah.
what Ace Bailey needs as an NBA player if he's going to be successful. Now, here, this is another team that I would really like for Ace Bailey. I don't think Ace Bailey would like Utah. Um, but I feel like if there is a team that would mess up his plan to fall to like 7 or 8 for New Orleans or Brooklyn or Washington, it would be Utah because they would just go ahead and take him, and Will Hardy would be like, "Yeah, we'll get you open, catch and shoot threes a ton." And yeah, what do we think here for Utah if the board falls like this?
A guy that you want to get open catching 3 shots for is Trey Johnson. I feel like this is one of my favorite guys in the draft. I sent you a text about him a while ago, like months ago, talking about Trey Johnson, and watching him at Texas was just so insane. He definitely carried that team. Really great self creation to get to the 3 point line, like just really good stuff. Yeah, his handle is really good. I think it's one of the best in the class. And he's a really good secondary passer. So he'll be able to fit in with this team that already has a solid point guard with Colin Sexton. Um, and honestly, he could probably come in and start day one over Jordan Clarkson. To be honest, 19 points per game off 39% shooting on 6 attempts a game. Sorry, uh, I really like Trey Johnson here for sure.
I think Trey is the best shooter in this draft, I would say. Um, I think the schematic difference that would be from what he was dealing with at Texas to being under Will Hardy is like just leaps and bounds. I think he's like an idealized version of what you would hope Keontae George is. And yeah, he's just such a special shooter. You hope the defense comes along for Trey Johnson, and I think they kind of need a little bit more of a upside swing. So you take the guy like Trey here, I think. Um, yeah, we're gonna lock it in.
All
Um,
right, all right.
let's see.
Oh, Jan Mahimi.
Next pick. Yeah, he's
Where?
a big unrestricted free agent. How are they going to fill in Jan Mahimi?
Um,
I will let you get the talking point here
um,
for Washington as resident.
in the unfortunate event that my dreams come true and Ace Bailey falls to six, there's definitely a couple names that you want to look at here. Jeremiah Fears is the one that a lot of people have been talking about recently. Um, and then and then Con Knepel still on the board as well. So those are definitely two very interesting options. Jeremiah Fears, a lot of the Wizards fan pages have been liking him, um, but I think there's a guard. I think there's some guards that we can get later on in this draft, and a name that I really like is Derek Queen. Pat, um, he watch like start of the season, there was a lot of questions about him, but watching his March Madness run and how he performed late season, he was one of the most exciting players in college basketball. Just a really great driver and self creator. His footwork, his driving moves, his euro steps, and his hop steps, and all the other stuff that he has is just really really nice to watch. Um, and he's a good playmaker for a big man as well. His 3 point shot does struggle a little bit, but he did show flashes of it in the NCAA tournament that it's getting better, and he's a pretty good knockdown shooter from mid range. He's clutch. Um, he's a good defender. He does have some questions on defense, like conditioning and rim protection. But when you're next to Alex Sarr, you won't have to worry about rim protection too much. And I think that this is a guy that can easily go out there and play good defense on an NBA 4 or 3 if he needs to. Um, and then his measurements are also really impressive. Where'd they go? Yeah, 6'10", 248 with a 7 foot wingspan. Um, and this is a guy that you look at him, you wouldn't think that he'd be able to go out there and do what he does and be so nimble and athletic, but he's able to do it. And just the size and height is great. For Wizards fans, not what we wanted, not being able to draft in top three. I like Derek Queen, and I also like Con Knipple as well. I feel like those are my top two. I want to say Derek Queen first. I'm not as high as Jeremiah Fears for us, just because of what we can get it later on in the round.
Yeah, I think I let you go off there as the Wizards fan. One of the 10 in the entire country. It's crazy. But I really like Khan. I really like Derek Queen, and I kind of like Yakachonis um, for Washington. I feel like if you really think Derek Queen is going to be this all-star, all-NBA potential caliber player, I think you have to take Derek Queen there. I think the fit makes enough sense next to Sarr, and if it doesn't, like nobody really liked last year's draft anyway, so I don't think you move out the way to give a ton of free leeway to Alex Sarr. Um, and I think that makes sense if you really want to take the upside swing. I think in my position here, I would take Con Knipple just because I feel like there is like a little bit more to tap into than is generally talked about with him. The name I always came away to with him, and I don't like doing comps until guys get drafted, but Chris Middleton just kind of makes sense for him as a player comp. Um, that one makes sense for me. And then the reason I like him and Yakachonis is if you're not sure that you're going to draft your number one scorer or like on your next great team, then you're probably going to draft that guy next season, and you want somebody this year who can play next to that guy. So that's why I bring up Yakachonis and Derek Queen. As the Wizards fan, I will let you decide this pick right here.
We're gonna go Derek Queen. I think Con Knipple is probably like the thing that I really want to pick Con Knipple, but I just feel like Derek Queen is what we need. We just need something like this is. I don't want another Corey Kispert. Um, but obviously Con Knipple is going to be way better than Corey Kispert. But I feel like we just need a new energy, and Derek Queen can bring that. I feel like he's a lot more likable than Alex Sarr as more of like a media face as well. Um, and there's a lot of good guys next year if it's unfortunate we are again a lottery not lottery team but like a top five pick. Hopefully we're not. But yeah, we're gonna go Derek Queen. Let's get some new things going in Washington.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's the team that makes a lot of sense to hide what his weaknesses are. Here we are back with Charlotte, and like I think they're running to the podium and taking Constantinople. Unless there's a team that has called them and given them a ridiculous offer to move up, which I'm not sure there necessarily is. I will throw one team out there because I thought about this the other day because um, I heard that they're looking to move up, and that's OKC because they could do it,
Yeah,
and I feel like Constantinople is exactly what they would
yeah,
want.
that would be crazy. That would be crazy. They'd have to give up a player though. I feel like I don't know. What were you thinking like initially? Initially,
Um,
yeah,
well, I feel like they could go the route where they just blow away Charlotte with picks.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah. True, true, true.
they could do that. They could throw players in there. I'm not sure that they would necessarily love like Isaiah Joe. Aaron Wiggins is a guy who I think a lot of bad teams should like make some calls about, but that's another podcast episode. Um, I would say it would probably be a draft capital type of thing, unless they like weirdly include like Lou Dort or Caruso, which I don't think they would.
Yeah.
Um, but if I guess how we have to answer it is if you're Charlotte, are you taking Concanipple getting traded for number 15, multiple future firsts or something like
I
that?
mean, honestly, I would take Con Knipple because I feel like this is who I wanted them to take initially. I don't know why I keep messing that word up. Uh, that's who I wanted them to take initially. And then you end up getting additional pick in the first round, the 23rd pick. So if you're Charlotte, you're feeling pretty good. And there's some names that could possibly fall at the bottom of this draft that are some big men. Um, but I feel like you got to go Concanipple here. He fits your team very
Yeah.
well too, um, and he's going to be an insane knockdown shooter from that 3 point line.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think we'll do Concanipple just because OKC's perspective. I don't think they'll do the blow away offer. I think they'll talk about it, but they'll have more chances to take a guy similar to Khan or trade for a guy similar to Khan. So we'll do Charlotte staying at 7 and picking Khan. Brooklyn is one of the weird ones. I think there's a lot of different things you could throw into the fire for Brooklyn. I'll let you throw out three names really quickly. Don't necessarily break the game down, but just throw guys that are on the mind for you.
Jeremiah Fears, Yakachonis, and Carter Bryant.
Okay. For me, I like the Fears pick. Um, I understand liking Carter Bryant for them, but they have so many picks in this draft that like they can take the safer guys later. Where is he even on here? I like a Noah Essengay for them. Murray Boyles, I don't. I think they just need a little bit more talent before you kind of consider a Murray Boyles here. I like Fears. I like Essengay as picks for them, and you could talk me into Malawatch too if
I
they're
was
really
thinking
high
Mount
on.
Watch, but then I was thinking like they do have Claxton already, but he kind of had a down year. But I don't know. I was leaning Fears just because of their need for point guard, really. Um, and he's one of the better point guards in this draft class. Great driver, really, really good at getting to the rim. Awesome ball handling and creating shots. So that's kind of I was feeling Fears for that reason. But
Yeah, I get it, and uh, just I think it ultimately comes down to how you feel about the guards later in the draft because they have 19, they have 26, 27. They can take guards at that point for me, and I really like the Essengay swing for Brooklyn. I'm not. How do you feel about him versus Fierce here? I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You mentioned it. They do have later picks, and there are a lot of point guards that are going to be available in this later round, and a lot of good ones from overseas. So I'm definitely fine with going uh, Noah Essingay.
Yeah, I he was at the top of the tier that we're currently working in for me. I guess Malawatch was in the tier above, but it's I kind of don't like a team completely rebuilding to get a center that isn't going to be able to create his own shot at all and needs to be have a good guard to play with. So I kind of feel like Essengate here you could play him with Claxton, and I kind of that's how I like it. Um, where did he go? Right here. The one concern I have, and it goes with his teammate too, who we might talk about later, just Ratio Faramolm. Their history of prospects is rough with Killian Hayes and Isaac Bonga. It's a little scary, but I like Essengay, so we'll take Essengay. All right, Toronto's here. They didn't trade the pick in the Durant trade. What do we think about Toronto here?
So you got to go Malwatch, no? Um,
Yeah,
I like Malwatch here. Uh, yeah, I think he'd be great. Like you already have Jakob Pertl, so Malwatch can honestly come in right now and be an impact. But with with him being so big and like all pause and all of his conditioning problems, or not problems, but like concerns, like you can go out there and play him 15 minutes a game, uh, and he can have an impact in this 15 minutes, kind of like what we saw Zach Edey do this year and how they managed Zach Edey. Uh, Malwatch is one of the most interesting defensive prospects I think just because of how tall he is, and besides Cooper Flag probably, and both of those guys are on the same team, which is just crazy. But yeah, Malwatch, his length and ability to block shots is gonna do wonders for that Raptors team.
yeah, I really like Kaman, and people were concerned about the fact that he didn't really block that many shots, but he's still 7'2" with like outrageous standing reach. Like it's hard to get shots up over this guy,
Yeah,
and
he, he'll
I feel like nine is
he'll alter them if anything.
yeah, I feel like nine is like the floor for Common in this draft. Toronto will definitely take him. I think you can have some concerns. There is a visa situation, but we're hoping that just gets sorted out because this is the right player fit for them. Um, Here for Phoenix at 10. This is new. I've been thinking about this being Houston for a long time, and I had guys who I really liked for Houston to get in this spot before. Now it's Phoenix. They have a later pick in this draft. Uh, where do we go to?
This is interesting. Just seeing the names up right here. Because initially I like Igor Demon, because he's such a great passer. He's such a great passer. What have we been talking about for the whole time we've been on this podcast together? It's the Suns' ability, the lack thereof, to have that point guard to pull everything together. Now, obviously, things are going to look a little different this year with Kevin Durant not being there, but they still don't really have a point guard, unless you want. I mean, obviously D Book can take over that role, but do you want D Book to be your full time point guard for the year? That's why I like Igor Demon. But now with Jeremiah Fear still on the board right now, it could be hard to pass up on him just because of his offensive ability. I do think Demon's a better playmaker, but I also think Fears is a great playmaker as well. So I kind of leave Fears, and then Carter Bryant also I think is the other name I'm thinking. Um, but where are you on this, Pat?
Yeah, for them, it's just like from what I see, their plan is they're going to draft a player here who probably has some type of upside because it's probably their only pick that they're going to be making that has any chance of being this high again. And I'm assuming that they're operating keeping Booker
Yeah.
um, and building around him. For that reason, I kind of like Carter Bryant, but it overlaps a little bit with the Ryan Dunn pick that they made a season ago. Just had a good season. I don't think you don't draft the best player available if you think he is because you have Ryan Dunn, but I also think that there's some good upside concerns. I have Yegor a lot lower on my draft board, but I do see the fit for Phoenix. I think he got a green room invite. Um, so that means some lottery team probably really likes him. Um, and I think if Phoenix was trading into this pick, I feel like they had a guy circled in this range. Otherwise, they would have just asked for future assets in the Durant trade. So I just purely because I don't have a better name to point out, I can defer to Yegor going here. Even if I do think it is a little bit high, I'm not as bullish on some of these guys as I would be on, I don't know, Essengay or Kama and Malawach if they were on the board here. Um,
Yeah.
I guess
Sorry. Go ahead.
center, we could throw out center position. Murray Boyles is kind of interesting for me too because he could pass even if it's not a point guard player. I think with Fears, my concern about taking him is he's so. I think
Small.
he's a year or two away um,
Oh.
from being
Yeah.
contributor. I like Murray Boyles, and I think you've talked me into being okay with taking Demon. So
Yeah. I like. I also didn't have Demon too high up on this board, but for me, like the fit, I thought the fit was just so nice for the Suns that they wouldn't really give up on him. I mean, it's a 6'9" point guard that makes insane passes with a lot of velocity too. He can whip it across the court. Um, it's like a my player for real. 6'9" point guard. But yeah, I like Igor Demon a lot. Colin Murray Boyles, really good defender, really good passer, like you said. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with them in our draft.
yeah, I think they could also just trade back even more, just because they want to continue to make assets here. But yeah, I think if they're picking here, Demon makes sense. Murray Boyles makes sense, and for similar reasons that Demon makes sense, I think Yakachonis makes sense because
That's
I think with both Demon and Yakachonis, you kind of need them off the ball a little bit more than you would want some of your point guards to be. And Booker's going to take on ball reps. I think with them, the also big question mark is Jalen Green right now. So I think you've talked me into Yegor because he can even be like an off ball three if you wanted him to be who makes connected passes. We're gonna take Yegor.
all right.
Number 11, Portland. What do we think the move is here for Portland?
All right. Okay. For Portland, I think a couple names that I probably like to go to here is, I mean, I think Carter Bryant is definitely a interesting one. They already have Anfrey Simons. They already have Scoot Henderson. Honestly, I could see them taking a Jeremiah Fears here just because there's a lot of question on Anfrey Simons. I feel like the trade rumors. So like I can see them going the guard route. Um, Colin Murray Colin Murray Boyles, I think for sure, also can go here as well. So those are two names I'm thinking right now: is Spears and Murray Boyles. I also like Cedric Coward too. Um, I think he's probably one of the most interesting guys in this draft class, and I think that he could fit in on Portland pretty decently. He's a 3-and-D type of guy. Uh, really good 3-point shooter, and he has so much defensive potential. Really good length, and he shot 40% from 3-point last year. So I think Cedric Coward's definitely interesting. I like Carter Bryant as well, and Colin Murray Boyles. I feel,
Yeah.
and if they, there's questions about Anthony Simons, I think they go Fears, but otherwise, I feel like you want to go kind of bigger here.
Yeah, I like a lot of those names, and with Portland, it's so hard because we have no idea what they're gonna do with their team. I think they could also get a ton of calls here for fears,
Yeah.
from a team wanting to trade up. Like I was looking at the lot or the order, and I was like, who would the team be? And like I guess Chicago, but they're only a pick later. And then uh, you look further down the board, like OKC, it's not like ridiculous that they would want a backup point guard, even though they do have Topic from a year ago. It's not ridiculous they would want somebody more like Fears. Or Brooklyn's at 19 and have other picks, and then Washington is at 18. Do any of those stand out to you?
Yeah. I don't know if you were just talking, but
Just
uh,
just start
okay, okay.
start the trade teams over again.
Um, yeah, Pat. Initially, like first looking at it, I'm thinking Atlanta, but like you kind of said, they're only 2 spots back, so I don't know how willing they would be to jump 2 spots and how much they would give up. I like the Thunder as well, and I think the Heat. Like if the Heat really want to go out there and get them a point guard, because I don't think Terry Rozier is the fit, uh, or is the answer. I think the Heat could trade up for sure at the number 20 spot, but besides that, that's kind of where I am on that because I feel like the other teams either don't need that point guard position that bad to trade up or are too close to the pick to even trade up at all.
Okay. So Miami is a possibility. The thing with Miami too is they just took everybody off the board in Kevin Durant trades, so are they gonna put them on the board in Jeremiah Fears trades?
That is true. Haywood Highsmith might not be able to ever leave Miami. I think he might get the Jimmy Butler
Yeah, like he
deal.
might be held captive there. Um, Utah's at 21, and I don't think Utah's crazy. Like if they had him circled as their number like 6 player in this draft, and they're like, well, he fell to 11, we can trade up a bunch like 10 spots. They have a bunch of stuff. They have Colin Sexton, right? And they might, if Portland's losing Simons, at least you get Sexton in there who can play in the NBA and can be more of an insulary player. Um, I think there's some validity to that. I don't think they'd be a Kessler team. I don't think they're looking to trade Larry Markkinen, and I don't know how interested Portland would be in Larry Markkinen, but I could see Utah making the leap here. And similar reasons, if Washington had Fears circled as one of their top guys, I could see them doing, because we considered Fears at 6 as well. Um, I guess how would you feel about Fears next to Quinn?
I I mean I'm perfectly fine with it. Um, I think you get some decent pick and roll actions if Derek Queen steps up his pick game, and it could be very interesting. And if the Wizards were able to get Fears, I think it would be a super successful draft. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely for sure going to do that deal if I'm Washington because a guy that I want Washington to get that 18th pick is very similar to Fears. So
Yeah. Um, I think just because of like not practicality, but like um possibility, like it's way more likely that Utah would be able to do this. So should we have Utah trade up
let's do it.
since they have future capital, they have Sexton, who I think a team like Portland, who is a little bit closer to contending to, they might want Colin Sexton, and I like it. They can, yeah, we'll send over, the 43rd pick and um call that a day, right? Travel, wait.
Dang, bro, you were fleecing them boys. Okay, there you
Yeah, I was about to say I was messing this up,
go.
I'm pretty sure. All right, yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Utah on the clock, and we're gonna have them take Fears.
All right.
All right. This has gone very interestingly. Chicago up. Let's just throw names out there for Chicago.
Thomas Sorber is a name I'm going to throw out. It might be a little higher. than what people are thinking. But this is a team that well, right now with the question of will Nikola Vucevic come back, this team is in need of a center, and one of the better centers right now on the board, I think, is Thomas Sorber. I really like Thomas Sorber and what he was able to do at Georgetown last year. Uh, just great defender, really good rim protector. He averaged for 2 blocks a game. He's a pretty good passer too, and a good interior scorer. I think that could work perfectly for this team. It would be a little bit of a switch up with him not being a great 3 point shooter at all. But I mean, this is a big man that can come in there, give you really good boards and rebounding and shot blocking ability. But besides that, I mean, you still have Carter Bryant up here. That's definitely a name that you could look at. And if you want to, I think Carter Bryant, for me, it's Carter Bryant, Sorber, Yakachonis.
Yeah, I'm really good with the Carter Bryant idea. It's like Bazelis again, but he can shoot. I feel like Carter Bryant falling to 12 is just really good value. Um, I'm perfectly fine taking Carter Bryant. I think teams could even be calling about trying to get Carter Bryant at this point. But I think it makes no sense for Chicago to pass up on them, especially with all the guards they have. I would prefer for them having Carter Bryant compared to Cedric Howard, who I've ranked basically right next to Carter Bryant, but Carter Bryant's more of a bigger wing compared to Coward being more of an on-ball wing. So I like Carter Bryant. And then we're at 13 here for Chicago or for Atlanta, and we could talk through it. What are the names we like for Atlanta?
I mean, I like Yakachonis here. Uh, could be a great backup point guard for Trey Young. Um, this kid is a really good passer and playmaker, great in the pick and roll game, and learning from Trey Young, one of the masters of it, would be just very good for his development. And he's a pretty good shooter as well. And then besides that, I think Cedric Howard and Nick Clifford.
Yeah,
Those would be my two other guys. I really like Cedric Howard, Pat. But I think like kind of for like a team, I don't know. I feel like they want to get a backup point guard for Trey, but
yeah. For them, I think Yakachonis can really play with Trey and play without Trey, and that's why they would really like Yakachonis. Um, I think there's some validity to OKC also just trying to jump San Antonio because I feel like they will target very uh like a couple of the same players between OKC and San Antonio, and it's only a 2 spot jump for OKC to make. We could consider that. Um, I don't know who I like the most here. I do also like Swarber with the potential of them trying to shift up what they're doing with their center
true,
position.
true, true.
Um, and they could get Sorber if Sorber falls in a couple of spots. So I guess we're just stuck here needing to make a decision. What do you think?
I don't know that Sorber idea isn't too bad. I do like that because they're gonna always Clint Capella at free agency. But Oneko Okongwu has been really good for them. Damn.
Yeah. Sorber also does give them a different type of center too, with just the passing ability, and I think there's a non unlikely scenario where he shoots, or if Akonwu continues to develop his shot like he showed a little bit last year, that
Yeah,
they
let's
could
go.
play a little together.
I like Sorber. I like Sorber. Let's go Sorber.
Stick and pick Sorber or trade down and pick Sorber?
Hmm. Who are you trading with? Are you trading with the Thunder?
Probably the Thunder at 15.
I like that then.
Okay. And we're operating with the Thunder probably selecting Cedric Howard.
Yes, I. That's who I had them getting. So perfect.
Because I feel like between San Antonio and OKC, I feel like they both would really like Cedric Howard. I guess we'll send 44 over
Yeah,
because
do it.
that would make sense. I don't think it would be pick 24 in this draft. OKC's up. Cedric Howard, I mean, he's like the J-Dub clone, kind of like multiple year college player. They measured like really similar, and I think he's higher on my board than this even, but I think there's some teams higher in the draft that he doesn't make sense for. I think OKC would just love him, and he'd probably come off the bench, and they'd let him do a little bit of on ball scoring opportunities since their bench scoring is like kind of weird. But yeah, I like Howard here for them.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, and he's also been like a 39% shooter pretty much throughout his whole year in college. Um,
and they didn't shoot
yeah.
the finals, and they still won. Like it's crazy. Um, but yeah, now at 14, San Antonio, I feel like their pick just got stolen. They've taken Dylan Harper. We didn't do any other draft stuff with them or trade stuff with them. Well, I mean, it's kind of the same names for me. I guess you can't consider KJ here. I like Nick Clifford. I think Murray Boyles is on one of the few teams. This would be one of the few teams I really, really, really like Murray Boyles on because Wembanyama's got the shot, and that could be just a monster defensive duo. Um, I really like those guys there. Sorber's high on my board, but I don't really like him next to this situation, and I feel like there's not any other great wings available.
Dude,
Um,
Hero, go.
Adu Theoro is interesting, but I feel like they can't
No, no,
take
no, no, no,
another
no,
non-shooter.
no, no.
Um,
Not there. Not there.
Not for San Antonio. They
No,
they
no.
need they need a shooter, I think, unless it's a big, like Murray Boyles. So I like Nick Clifford. I like Murray Boyles. Those are kind of the two names I really like here. What do you think?
Yeah. Man, I might. I'm kind of. I just. I'm very hesitant on Colin Murray Boyles just because of the shot. Uh, and his just offensive impact. I don't know how effective it's going to be in the NBA, but I do recognize that he's going to be a great defender. Um, so like, do you?
So Nick,
Yeah, because with Neek, not only do you have the defense, but you also have the 37% 3 point shooting. Obviously, the defense isn't as good as Colin Murray Boyles, but he's still a pretty good physical defender on the perimeter. So I really do like Neek right here for them.
yeah, and I think he can pass really well too. Like he's a really good passer, and I think the defense will get better as he is off ball a little bit more because he will not have the ball much here in San Antonio. He'll be off the ball, and I really like Nick Clifford for them, especially going to a winner. He's 22. Uh, so yeah, Charlotte or not Charlotte, Atlanta is back on the clock, and we liked Sorber for them before. We liked KJ for them before. They both fell. What do we think? Deciding
Uh
between the two of them.
Man, I feel like you got it. You got to take. I feel like you got to take Sorber. You traded down
Yeah,
for him. You take Sorber. You traded down for him. So he's still there. While you might miss out on Casper Yakachonis, I think the switch up at the center position for right now and for the foreseeable future is very important. While Yakachonis is maybe a more long term option, because Trey Young is obviously going to be in there. So you don't necessarily need a point guard right now as bad as you do. Uh, Maybe Thomas Sorber. So I like Sorber here for sure.
yeah. I think it's a great pick for them. Um, and it makes sense. You know, another new team here, Memphis. Desmond Bane's apparently still on their roster, but
What's with
this
like
pick
the
was
LeBron
acquired.
stuff? Have you been noticing that? Why is LeBron under everything?
Oh, it's the advanced stat, LeBron.
Okay. Of course.
It's very misleading, but
My bad.
yeah, I think Memphis is really weird here. KJ's the big faller, so they could just look to seek calls on KJ. I don't know who would really love KJ in the next couple picks, but we could look for teams on that. Other than that, just looking at the names available, I could see them really liking Will Riley. I could see them liking Adu Thero here because they were sneaky bad point of attack defensively, even though Jalen Wells did an admirable job trying to step in. And I think Murray Boyles too makes a lot of sense for them because they have a stretch five. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say Murray Boyle is probably just one of those teams that you were talking about that'd be a great fit for them. Uh, and I do like the Adu Thero option. Both great defenders. You already have JJJ, Marvin Bagley, or not Marvin. I don't know if I said Marvin Bagley. You have JJJ and you have the good centers. You have a pretty crowded center room right now. But I mean, I think Colin Murray Boyles could thrive just because, like you said, they do have the stretch big. So you could play Jaren Jackson at that 5 and him at the 4. So I do like Colin Murray Boyles a lot here. If you're going to take Colin Murray Boyles, I feel like you got to take him now. If you're Memphis, but otherwise, I mean, maybe Rasheer Fleming. But I think for me, this is the for me, if I'm gonna pick Colin Murray Boyles within the next like 10 picks, uh, I'm gonna pick him here. So I like the
I
fit.
I 100% agree. I think Murray Boyles is the guy to go here. Um, I like the fit. I think they're
Hometown
going to be
hero.
hopefully monster defensive team.
Yeah,
Um, Minnesota's interesting. They got a lot of potential weaknesses. Um, they just drafted a guard. So some of the guards here are, I think since they're a resource deficient team, taking calls about KJ still being on the board makes a lot of sense. And right behind them are two teams that I think would really like KJ, with Brooklyn and Washington right behind them. Um, so what do you think here? Stick and pick Kasparis?
I mean,
What's the thought
you could
process?
trade down a pick to Brooklyn because I feel like there's a couple guys that I would take that I think would be great on Minnesota that Brooklyn won't even look at. So I think that it won't hurt at all for them to take pick to trade with the whoever's right behind them, the Nets. The
The
Nets.
Wizards are right behind, and then the Nets are the pick after.
Yeah, I don't want.
But yeah,
Yeah, the Wizards aren't making that trade.
yeah. So I like
I made the
taking
call.
they told you directly they're not doing it.
No,
Um,
the 19th and
I
the
was
26th, or is that too much?
that's probably a little
Yeah,
too rich.
yeah,
But like I don't know, they do like a future second round, like two future seconds to move up two spots and jump a team that might take similar players to them.
yeah.
And
Not bad. I like it for Minnesota too.
yeah, like you get the future assets, and second round picks are actually valuable for Minnesota because they're going to be a team that will be facing cap concerns, and second round picks are really cheap. They just took Gay before. I like KJ here. I think that's a slam dunk for them
Yeah,
if KJ falls to 17. Um,
and if that happens, that'd be a crazy fall for KJ. I feel like,
yeah,
but
we never had the fit that I really liked
I
for
know
him.
I 100% agree. Yeah,
Um, Washington backup took Derek Queen before. Uh, in the position where they take Derek Queen, I feel like I like having guards in play for them. Um,
yeah. Give
that
me the
I'm
second
interested. What
best
do you
shooter
think?
in the draft, Walter Clayton Jr. here.
Oh
Um,
wow, that's my best second best shooter too. Let's
Yeah,
go.
I like Walden Claytor Jr. so much, especially after the run that he just had in the March Madness tournament. I mean, this dude watching him hit threes, all I could think about is just like that's literally Curry range that he's like shooting these and making these from like 5, 6, 7, 10 feet back from the 3 point line. I mean, it's insane. Um, Washington definitely struggles with making a lot of their 3 pointers. They shoot a lot of them. They don't make a ton. Uh, so I think this is great, and it gives Bub Carrington. It doesn't make Bub Carrington be the one anymore. I feel like Walter Clayton assumed that number one point guard role pretty much at Florida throughout his tenure there. Um, I mean, and he shot 38%, 18 points per game. Great playmaker. His handle is amazing. He'll have some struggles on defense, but right now I don't think that would be too much of an issue with the way Washington's not in any position to be like needing great defenders right now. And also, you just got Derek Queen, and you still have um, Alex Sarr and Bilal Coulibaly. So three great defenders on your team. So I would love to get Walter Clayton here, and I think that he would be so much fun in Washington. The only other name I would really consider is Jace Richardson,
Yep.
but I like Walter Clayton over him. So
Yeah, those were the two names I considered here. I do have Jace a couple spots above Walter Clayton, but I think on this team I would want I think Jace is a better all around player than Walter, but I think Clayton Jr. is definitely the better shooter between the two of them. And I think I would like a shooter next to Derek Queen.
You got
Yeah, because if you're taking Derek Queen, you're going all out building around Derek Queen.
yeah.
Um, because otherwise you would have taken Concanipple or Casper Siakachonis if you didn't think Derek Queen was the guy. Now Minnesota's back up. I like Fleming for them. I think he
100%.
gives them. I think Fleming gives them an option as a small ball five. They're going to need wings. They also just don't have a big wing outside of McDaniels. Like they were DiVincenzo, Edwards, Alexander Walker. They're all like 6'4", 6'5" guards. You get another guy with Fleming who has some real size. I think Fleming is the guy who I'd like the most for Minnesota. If there was another guy I would bring up, like you could take a center, but I think Fleming's the pick.
Oh,
If we both agree, we'll just
yeah.
fly through it.
Yeah, I love Fleming. He's also a good shooter, too. He can stretch
Yeah,
the floor a little bit.
shot really well. Miami's up. I think this is
Miami.
such a ton of different ways you can go. I have a guy that I really like, but I think it would require them trading a player on their team. So
Oh,
I'll let you go first.
okay. Well, I'm very excited to hear about that, Pat. I like Chase Richardson a lot for them here. We talked about it already with the Terry Rozier situation. Like you said, he's just a great all-around player. Even though he's not as good a shooter as Walter Clayton is, he's still a really good one, 41% from the three-point line. He can finish really well around the rim, too. And he's a good playmaker. So I think that I really like Jace Richardson here to like fill in for that Terry Rozier spot because I don't really know what happened to him. And then you also have Davion Mitchell, who was a great late season surprise, and I think that that'd be a decent little 1-2 rotation at the one spot. You could go Liam McNeely as well, just to kind of have that like the shooting, that three ball. So yeah, I like Jace Richardson though here. So what are you thinking, Pat? And then what are you thinking about that trade?
My player was Jace,
Okay.
and I was thinking that him and Hero probably, if you take Jace, I think it means Hero's probably on the way out.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
Other names that I like though, I like Will Riley for them. I like Nolan Trayor for them because I think Trayor and Hero can probably play together. I think Trayor's underrated defensively. He is not disruptive whatsoever, but he can make the right plays. He's got a good feel for the game. I think he'll be okay defensively. Um, those are the guys I really like for them, and Will Riley just like he's an upside swing that I feel like a team would be really interested in making. Um, so if we think there's a team that would really like Tyler Hero, or if Miami would even be willing to move Tyler Hero because they don't like trading their players at all, uh, then I would say we could take Jace here. I think you could take Jace regardless and just have a shitty backcourt defense for a year.
Yeah, that might have to be the hill you fall on.
Let's do that. I think he's by far the best player available. I had him as a lottery grade player. So, um, Portland's up. We haven't made a pick for them.
Orleans.
I have a guy here. I like Trayor for them. It's like a completely different look from what they've done in the past at the point guard position. They've had score first guards with Damian Lillard, who obviously worked out a lot better than the guys preceding him, but Simons was pretty damn good, but not as good of a facilitator as him. I think even if you keep Simons, Trayor is a different type of point guard. And you can do that. Again, I like Will Riley. I don't think you can have enough players like Adu Thero on your team. Even though they already have Tumani Kamara and Jabari Walker and Jeremy Grant, they have all of these guys. But I think those are the guys, Trayor, Will Riley, Adu Thero, that I would consider.
Yeah. I think I like the Traore. the Traore pick, especially with the Simon stuff going on. And he's a guy that gives you really good playmaking, and especially in the pick and roll game. So uh, I think that he could benefit a lot from that, and it would give them a different, like you said, a different option. Not really a score first guy, more of a passer. But he's also able to finish as well if you need him to.
Yeah, and he can get off the ball. I think if he's just shooting catch and shoot threes, he'll be fine. Especially if you hope Shaden becomes your lead guy, or if Denny is the guy who you think is your lead guy. I like Traore for them, and usually nobody's mocking them picking in this spot because they pick out 11. Atlanta's up now. Um, Before we were considering KJ, when we took Sorber, so we could take a player similar to KJ, but I think Jace would have been that guy, but Jace is obviously no longer available. Um, I like Cam Jones. He's further down the board, but I think it's perfectly reasonable to take him here. I think he could play with and without Trae Young. Ben Seraph isn't ridiculous to me. I want to hear what you have to say here.
Um, yeah. I Seraph is a really really fun one. Really good in the pick and roll. Great playmaker. So I think he could thrive a lot with Trae Young, and he's 6'6", so he has a little bit of size for him. He does lack the 3 point shot, but I mean, on this team and you already have Trae Young, who's a great 3 point shooter. For him to come in there and be another great playmaker for them, I think I would like it a lot. Um, yeah, and he's a tall point guard, which you love. Uh, and maybe that size can translate into a little bit of defense, although he struggled with it at times. But when you already have Dyson Daniels out there, putting him on a guy that's not as advanced with the ball, I think he could do a good job against. So, but then Cam Jones, I really like Cam Jones and his scoring ability. Man, was he fun to watch at Marquette last year. So it's
I'm good
kind
to
of
take Cam Jones here.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm good to take Cam Jones here.
Yeah, Cam Jones, I mean, watching Big East basketball, you heard Cam Jones' name like 30, 40 times a broadcast. I mean, this kid is incredible. He's a great 3 point shooter as well. Great playmaker, uh, and he'll show up for you when you need it. And he's also able to create his own shot, which you always love with a lot of these guys that sometimes struggle with it. To have a guy that can go out there and score for himself is a huge plus.
And I think with Cam Jones, specifically with Walter Clayton, but Cam Jones too, I think there's this stigma around these older guards that just doesn't make sense to me because I know we're really deep in this draft, but we're going to go on a quick tangent. Like, if you think about small guards that reached a really high ceiling, they all went multiple years in college. Trae Young is like the exception. You have John Morant was a multi-year guy. Steph Curry was a multi-year guy. Tyrese Halliburton isn't as short, but he's really skinny. He was a multi-year guy. Brunson is like the huge one, multi-year college player. Damian Lillard was a 4-year college player. Like, I don't think being older is something that should be hurting these guys as much as it is. And that's why I'm really high on Walter Clayton and Cam Jones. And I think Cam Jones is the pick, just like you laid out as well. So easy pick for me. I think Karis LeVert's a good NBA comp for him. Charlotte is up.
Yes, they is. I forget how, but they do have it. No, in one of the trades that we made.
With New Orleans trading up for Ace.
And then they got Con with the 7th pick. Okay.
Played out great for them.
Yeah.
What do we think?
Well, you have so guys that we were looking at in that kind of area. I think we're the big men. Or no. Sorry, never mind. Forget what I was saying. I think a big man could be an interesting look here for sure, especially with all the questions on Mark Williams. We kind of talked about it when we were debating the 7th pick between Mal Watch and Con Knipple. Danny Wolf is definitely interesting here. I also like Joan Beringer. Sorry.
Yeah. He's
Joan,
much lower.
Yeah.
But I have him much higher than 30.
Yeah, that's like crazy low. But yeah, Berger, his defensive versatility is insane, and he can like switch on the guards. Really good at hedging ball screens. And he's also a really nice transition threat, which is perfect for this team that loves to get out and run in transition. So I think it's very interesting, and he's definitely he's like more of a developmental guy, so he's a lot to room to grow. Uh, Danny Wolf, I do like Danny Wolf. Um, I do like Joan Bringer better for this team though. I don't really know if they need a kind of playmaking big.
I agree. I really like for them I like Kalkbrenner and Berenger just in general more than Danny
Yeah,
Wolf, but for them it really just depends on how immediate do you want this thing to be. I think if you're trading Mark Williams, you're acknowledging that it's not 100%. Your next contention window isn't right away, and I think Berenger is going to need a couple of years to figure it out. But boy, is he just a ridiculous athlete! Like he doesn't make any sense that how well he moves. Um, if I'm not taking one of Kalkbrenner or Berenger, I think a Duthero makes a ton of sense just because they're going to need help defensively. But I think what's going to be better help for your defense is ensuring the center's position. Um, and just between you seemed higher on Berenger than Kalkbrenner, so I think we'll go Berenger. All right. I I said if you're much higher on
yeah,
Berenger
yeah,
than Kalkbrenner, we'll go
yeah. I
Berenger.
like
All right.
Berenger here.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and submit that one. I think that's a steal. Or not a huge steal, but I have him a little bit higher than 23. OKC's up. We had him take Cedric Coward. I think there's two ways you can look at this. It's point guard, it's big. Um, they're eventually going to have to figure out what they want to do with Hartenstein, and their cap's going to get rough, so that's why you can look at big. And then point guard, they just kind of didn't have a bench scorer. I think if they take a Duthero and Cedric Coward this year, like they're not going to have a fair defense. So I think the league would veto that. Um, but yeah, a Duthero is in play for me. I think just since you have the big things, Danny Wolf makes some sense. And Asanul does make sense too because he was a decent switch player in college. Even though I'm not super sure it'll be an NBA thing for him. And then Kalkbrenner does make sense, even though he's a little bit older. Um, if you want him to be your backup five and you keep starting double bigs next year, I think Kalkbrenner can step in right away and be a rim protective for you. Even though generally I wouldn't say he's the type of center that they like. If Berenger was here for them, I think they would just
So
they would
so you like Kalkbrenner over Danny Wolf here?
maybe not for
Yeah,
OKC,
that,
but in
that's
general I
that's
do.
okay,
But
okay, okay, okay. Word.
in general I probably
Yeah,
do, but not for
no, yeah,
OKC.
I agree. I think if you go the center route, you go Danny Wolf. Um, I like his playmaking ability and his pick and roll game with Shy would be awesome.
And he's such a good ball handler for being 7 feet tall. I think he can play with other bigs as well if they want to look that direction. Danny Wolf just makes sense. And this is the team fit. I think they take the upside swing. Hopefully it's not Poku part two, but I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense. Um, Orlando's up. They have made a big
Boop,
splash.
boop, boop, boop. Yes, they have.
I think this is an important pick for them. I don't really have an inkling on the direction I would want to go with this pick, so I'll let you I'll let you take the wheel.
I'm leaning guard here, Pat. Potentially guard, and let me go. Where's my guy? Where's my guy? Uh oh, not guard, forward though. I like Noah Penda here. Pretend or
Oh, you stole it from me. I like Noah Penda
yeah,
too for them. I think it's weird like when they move Jonathan Isaac in another trade. like he just becomes Jonathan Isaac. Um, it has that type of a potential to me. You can make the same argument for like Kalkbrenner when they trade one of their bigs because they kind of have to eventually. And like I don't think it's absurd to take either Kobe Bray or Drake Powell. Just because they need the shooter and Barea, and I
Defensive
think
power.
Drake Powell can fit right into what they like to do defensively. So I think both of those make a ton of sense as well.
Okay.
Um,
Damn.
and where's Penda? Penda's right next to those
Yeah.
guys.
So, because I think Kobe Bryant is also one of those top shooters in this draft, and
Yeah, I wouldn't
that'd be
have.
perfect for them considering that they already have so much in defense.
Yeah, do they have another? Do they have an early second or something? They have 46. So I would say like they could wait until the second round and maybe trade up in the second round to get Brea.
Yeah. So I think you're looking at Penda or Powell here, right, Pat? Is that kind of what we're
Yeah,
feeling?
who I would both say don't fall. I think Brea is a little bit lower than those guys on the board,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Dang, that's hard. That's hard because I feel like both these guys are so great on defense. Um, Drake Powell did play all games, all started or not started. I think he started in 24 of them, but he played in all 37 games that North Carolina had. ACC is a pretty good basketball conference as well, and he did show a tremendous amount of tape on defense. Really great defender and super versatile too. And then you also talk about versatility. That's also what Penda is. Um, both of these guys are also works on offense. So I don't know, Pat. Do you want to go with the the size, maybe the little bit size that Penda has, or would you like to go with Powell, more experienced college guard or wing?
Yeah, so I think they're both projects shooting, even though Drake Powell shot decently from three. Like, the free throw stuff was weird, and he just had such low offensive volume.
Yeah,
Um, I think he's the best on-ball defender in the draft, and that's why he's in this conversation. At least like a guy who's not only getting drafted for his defense. Um, I think Penda's probably the right pick, just because I feel like the passing ability, we've kind of seen it with Orlando in the past, that like having passers has really helped them. And when they lost to Joe Ingles' ability to facilitate. I hate to bring it up, but I think Penda's a really sneaky fit for them. And if none of the shooters like Clayton or Jace Richardson fall here, I think I like Penda.
yeah, I'm with you, Pat. Let's
So
go, fire it.
yeah, let's lock Noah Penda in. Nets are up. They have this pick and 27. So they have back-to-back picks here. They've taken Essengay and Kasparis Yakachonis. Where I have one way where I do kind of want to go. I have two guys who I really like for them, and that's Will Riley and Edu Thero. I think they're high,
That's crazy.
super high
That's
upside.
literally the two names I was gonna
What?
say. But please go ahead.
Super high upside. I feel like the one concern I would have with taking Will Riley and Edu Thero is like you taking three guys in the first round and none of them can really dribble. um, so I don't know. But I feel like those are the two upside guys. It's really just do you want the offense of Will Riley potentially or the defense of Edu Thero? Those are the two guys I really like.
Yeah,
Uh,
dang. I mean, you can go back to back though, because you have two picks, so
oh,
you can just
oh
pick
my
both of them,
God.
Pat. There you go.
Yeah,
Look
you
at
could
that.
just take
Look
both
at
of them.
that. It solves your problem.
Yeah, you could just take both of them. I think those are the two best guys
Yeah, and
available.
honestly, like they play, they're yeah, I like it. I mean, Will Riley's a guy that can play the two through the four, or two for the three, and then Adir
Yeah,
Thuro can play the four at some times in college. So I think that's perfect for both of them, and then you get the great defense and you get the potential offense that Will Riley could provide.
Yeah, because Adouthiro is the highest guy on my board, and then the next guy is Kalkbrenner, but I don't know if they take Kalkbrenner just because I don't think they like where Claxton's value probably is right now. Um, so I would say Adouthiro and Will Riley is just like kind of a great fit because hey, between one of Will Riley, Yakachonis, and Essengate, hopefully one of those guys can like be an all-star level lead creator.
Yeah,
Like
but
you're taking three chances here.
one of them's got to hit.
One of them's got to. I think out of all of them, I think Essengate and Yakachonis have a low floor, so you can be some pretty risk tolerant with Will Riley potentially not ever becoming a competent NBA defender and Adouthiro not ever shooting. Even though I think Adouthiro like could, I think there's a higher chance that he does become a shooter. Uh, just have you heard about the late growth spurt he had?
Thero? Nah, I can't. I don't remember. I don't remember.
Yeah, he had a super late growth spurt, and I'm using it as reason to believe he will shoot. So
Okay, no, what? I like that. I like that. I like that. The
yeah,
reasoning makes
uh,
sense. So
yeah, I think it makes sense even if he doesn't. Even if you're not super high on the shot. So Boston now, a lot of different ways we can go with this. Let me hear your opinion.
I kind of like Asa Newell being here. I think is very eye popping because this is a guy that was supposed to kind of go earlier on for sure. I know a lot of boards had him drafted on early on, uh, but super athletic power forward, really good defensive player versus very versatile, and he's great at rim running and scoring inside. Uh, I really like that for Boston, to be honest. I kind of like Asa Newell. You just lost your forward as well, and Jason Tatum. Obviously, wouldn't be a bad. I mean, you're not going to really have a great year. You know that. So why don't you let Asa Newell go out there and get some minutes in the NBA? You could also go with the shooter in McNeely. But this team is a plethora of 3-point shooters, so I don't really know if you need to do that unless you end up. Did they have Hauser in free agency? Maybe. Um,
No, he's signed
oh, okay, so perfect.
already.
So yeah, I guess I kind of like Asa Newell here for them. Um, Potentially McNeely as well.
Yeah, so I had Newell and Powell as the two guys I like for them. I think Powell can fit in. Like, just think about what they're gonna lose. Like, they're gonna lose Porzingis. Um, they're probably gonna trade him and Drew Holiday, and I think Drake Powell can do enough defensively on ball to, make up a little bit for the Drew Holiday loss. And you don't need him to shoot right away. Like you can spend this next season developing the shot for when Tatum comes back. And I really like, situationally for most teams, I don't like Asa Newell just because I don't think he's a center and he's not really a great shooter, even though like he might be able to shoot. We just don't know yet. But for what he brings defensively, he's a power forward. But then here on Boston, I think you could get some really interesting switch schemes like they've already been running the past couple of years with Asa Newell at center and Tatum and Brown being able to hold up against centers as well. So I like Asa Newell. Uh, you think we take
Yeah,
him for sure?
yeah, I like that.
All right. We're up with Phoenix, and we had him take Yegor. Um, I think if you're trying to win now, you take Kalkbrenner.
Yeah, I 100%
The,
agree.
just lock it in. I
Yeah,
think. Um, they're gonna play drop defense probably. I would assume. Um, it makes sense. They need defensive help. Last pick of the first round. Um, Clippers on the floor or on the clock. There's a ton of ways you can probably take it. What do we think?
three names that I'll go ahead and throw out. McNeely, Raynude. I think Raynude's definitely interesting, and then Powell being there is definitely interesting. Hassan Yang also, if you want to go center, but I feel like you'd probably go with the other one I just mentioned that wasn't Hassan Yang.
right now.
Yeah, Reynaud. Uh, I think that'd be perfect for the center position. Don't really have a lot of depth there besides Zubac, so rookie center to fill in for you definitely helps. So I wouldn't. I'm kind of feeling that way. And then if you need a 3 point shooting, which this team doesn't like, I mean, you already have like Bogdan and Norman Powell. So I mean, if you want McNeely to wait in the wings, you already have Derek Jones Jr. too. I don't know if you want to go that routes, but yeah, I don't know. Those my three names kind of McNeely, Ray Newton, my boy Anson
Yeah,
Young.
I think there's we just saw with the Clippers this past year that like they need two-way players, like guys who can play on both sides of the ball. And at this point in the draft, there's a lot of guys who I think are like one-way players. I think a backup center is like a pretty significant need for them. And I don't think Ray now and Hudson Yang are two guys who I don't think are great defensive prospects. And then I think Yannick Koenig, Neunenhauser or Niederhauser is more of just like an athlete who can get you lob threats and can stand around the rim. He's more of a defensive type of prospect. Um, if I was more sold on Drake Powell's offensive game, I would really like Drake Powell here. But they also do have a ton of wing players. I think they could be just, last pick of the draft here. Are we trading number 30?
I mean, at this point, the board's looking a little rough, so you could trade back to the second round and then get one of those second round caliber centers, and then maybe even end up with Drake Powell. So I wouldn't mind trading this. Maybe we look for a team that needs shooting that wants Liam McNeely.
Yeah, I think a team that could be in need of shooting would like McNeely. I think Detroit has a pick. I have no idea if Detroit has a
Let's
pick.
see. Start
Um,
calling.
yeah, let's have them call us up.
There we go.
Maybe it'll be like a
37.
oh yeah, yeah. So 37 and I don't know. They'll send over like a pizza or something. Oh, sponsor the draft day
There
dinner,
you
and
go.
then they'll take McNeely and take the upside on him figuring the shot out in the
I
NBA.
like that. And honestly, I like this for
I think I
Detroit.
do too. Yeah, and you take a chance on a guy who was a great high school player. Had a rough season at UConn, and hopefully you can tap into something defensively. I mean, they could also consider Drake Powell,
Yeah.
um, but I think they would want the more shooter-based player, and we're basically done there. We can look at the bottom here of the first round. We're an hour and a half in, but we could also give some big board type of input that we have if there's anything that you want to input. I guess let's first go through biggest winners of this draft. What do we think?
Uh, hmm. Then the Nets, honestly, they got a really nice return. I think the Hornets as well did a really good job getting Con Kneppel and like trading back for that, and then also getting another pick in this draft and being able to get a really good player. Uh,
Baron
yeah,
J.
able to get your center in Baron J when you could have had a guy like Malwash, but then you ended up getting a good center. Cedric Howard for the Thunder's like sneaky good for them. It's like trading up a couple spots to get, but I would say the Nets and the Hornets are pretty big winners so far. Um, Also the
I
Jazz.
think if yeah, I think if you're the Jazz and Fears and Johnson are your like three and five guys, like that's
Yeah,
huge for you.
I really like that for the Jazz
Um,
actually.
yeah, and then like I think there's some like cool new picks that I don't really see getting made. Like Traore, I really like at 21. I think the Nets if it plays out like this at the Nets and Yakachonis falls to 17 and they also take SNG, Will Riley and Thero, like that's such a great draft for them and like they can wait a year on Claxton and get a veteran point guard in the room to help get those guys shots. Like it's so great for them. Um I guess any big board stuff that we want to do just because I guess we will talk about it on draft night, but just any
Um,
tidbits
I
that
don't
you
have
want to
too
point out.
much right now. I think a couple names that are interesting to look at that maybe could sneak into the first round. Renewed for sure. LeBron Filion, or Le'Bron Filion from Alabama.
He, I think he definitely dropped out,
Oh, he
right?
did.
Yeah, I unfortunately did all this stuff for him before he
Okay, okay. Well,
removed himself from the
Never
draft.
mind then. Drake Powell for sure is going to be one of those early first round or early second round guys. I think Hassan Yang's also a really interesting prospect. I brought it up a lot. The
I
big
did
seven
too.
footer from China. Um, Really great defense. You're 7'2" with a 7'2" wingspan. And he's also like a pretty good playmaker for being that tall. Uh, he averaged 3 assists in the CBL, and he was the defensive player of the year over there too. He won defensive player of the year in the Chinese basketball league. So a lot of teams are going to want a big center, and he's a fun one for sure. Ben Sarif as well from Israel, nice tall guard. Janai Broom, I wonder what kind of NBA teams are thinking about on him, because this was a guy who was in college and he was the second best player in college, besides Cooper Flag. I think them two are the only one going up for like the MVP of college. I forget what the name of the trophy is, but then they
Player of the year.
huh?
Player of the
Oh,
year.
it's just called
Yeah.
Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. He has a very unique skill set and a very interesting one. Um, but yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of some names to watch out for, that haven't got picked yet, and especially the Kentucky one, uh, Bear,
Kobe Brea.
Brea. Yeah, Brea. He's gonna be a nice, really nice 3-point shooter for a team very soon.
Yeah, just Sion James from Duke. Really like Sion James. Uh, Hugo Gonzalez. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the first round. I would say a team really likes him. And then Kobe Sanders from Nevada. Good facilitator with big size. I think could be a draft steal. I don't even know where he's ranked on here. Um 42. Yeah, so I think he could be a really good player. I think this overall, how would you feel about the quality of this class? You're muted.
Really good, way more deep than we saw last year for sure. A lot of guys that can come in right now and start in the NBA, start in a lot of these rosters that they'll be drafted to. A lot of potential superstars for sure, especially a big one in Cooper Flag. But this isn't like one of those very top heavy drafts. I feel like you have solid picks 1 through 30, guys that can definitely make impacts, and you'll have guys in the second round. Tonji, that's another guy I liked a lot in college. I think Josh Toji from Wisconsin. Um, he's a bigger guy. R.J. Lewis too. Chaz Lanier. Yeah, I mean this is a stack. This is just a stack class. As you just keep going down the board. Um,
I think Eric Dixon was one of the better players in college
yeah,
basketball.
Victor
He's
Larkin for
57 on
Clemson,
here.
really good shooter. Like kind of scary good. Uh, Gives me Porzingis vibes
Yeah,
with the tall.
if he wasn't injury prone, I think teams would take him.
Bryce Williams too, great shooter. I mean, this class is crazy, Pat. We're gonna see a lot of undrafted guys too that are gonna be signed. I feel like. Um,
Yeah, I ended up with 16 lottery grades. That's crazy because there's not 16 lottery picks, and then I ended up with 25 like first round lock grades. So really talented draft class, I think. Um, Other than that, we will have live draft reaction on draft night. Hopefully, very much live. And yeah, that'll be it. You'll see our live reactions then. And unless you have anything else, we'll wrap this one up.
nah, hopefully Ace Bailey falls to 6. But besides that, that's all I gotta say.
All right. Well, we will wrap this one up and see you guys on draft night.